Welcome everyone to Neuro Wednesdays. We have Dr. Jerome with us. My name is Marcus Stalker D. If you're joining us here for the first time, Wednesdays are the days when we focus on the psychological side of things, and then we try to connect the science of the brain with our behaviors. And Dr. Jerome usually guides us towards techniques that can help us replace the bad habits with some productive habits. Dr. Jerome, welcome. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Coach Deeyana. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us today. Neuro Wednesday, indeed. I'm doing great. It's still hot here. Doing great. Today we have earnings after the close. Next week, big earnings as well. So sweet week.
Yeah. So are you expecting much movement before the earnings, or are we going to have watching paint dry kind of day? What's your experience?
They say investors have low expectations for these earnings. So we don't know if it's true, but assuming it's true, earnings will or already sort of priced in. So tariffs are. So I would tend to say it's not going to affect the market. The market's going to trade the same way. Of course, big institutions and big players are not going to push the button the same way, and we're gonna push it tonight or tomorrow. But we're gonna be ACH. We don't know what can happen. Yesterday was was a wild day. So we see. We're still at all-time high, right? Everything is tempting. So
it's amazing. I mean, I still can't believe that we're at all-time highs with all the stuff that's been going on, to be honest. But hey, it is the equities, so expect the unexpected. Equities go up. All right. So what have you got for us here? We've got some slides. Talk us through what we're going to be going through today.
Yeah, today we have a few slides. Sorry, not a lot, but basically, sort of wrap up, some reminder about some points we've been through together. So for those who are joining us for the first time, we have Market Stalker D, and myself, Dr. Jerome. And we basically do a weekly session every Wednesday. We call it Neuro Wednesday. So I have the honor and the pleasure to join Market Stalker D on her Euro Trade segment, which is from Monday to Thursday, if I'm not wrong. And so basically on Wednesdays, we go through what happens in our mental, our feelings when we trade, when we lose, when we win, when we have a lose streaks, win streaks, when we passive funded, when we want when we are close to a payout and we miss, and etc. So there's a lot of things going on between the click and the thought before clicking and after clicking as well. And so that's what we do here. Sometimes we have some practices, some exercises, visualizations, some meditation perhaps. Today I have not prepared like anything, but if you want to do an exercise, we'll see if we have time for sure.
Amazing. I mean, we can always remind people to take a breath before they do the click rather than just mindlessly clicking. That's an exercise in and of itself. And it does help to prevent some of the more impulsive behaviors. So if you can train yourself to do the breath every time before you click, maybe that can become homework for the following week before we see you again. Because it does help, right? So instead of just going mindlessly into the next trade, you just take a pause. I always like to call it the proactive way of thinking. Instead of clicking a button, do or die, you just go, hold on, I'm about to click. And then if there's still a cause to click a button, you can click. But usually if it's a nonsense trade, that one little breath can actually put you on the path of prefrontal cortex re-engagement and just going, hold on a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I don't actually have a level or a setup here. What am I doing? So it can be the beginning of setting some really nice, strong habits and self-control, self-discipline, and learning how to re-engage the rational part of your brain.
What a beautiful student. Who else has got their degree like Coach Deeyana? That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
We go over here. Yeah.
we we got a whole lesson about what is a habit. What is so a habit is basically a neural network. Okay, it's a network of in your brain, and it can be a network interconnecting multiple networks. Most of the time, it starts with a single network, and then it slowly and progressively connects with other networks, and that's how you get a routine. Okay, a routine is basically repeating the same habits over and over again. If you have a positive routine, you have a not positive habits, but you have habits that lead to constructive actions. And
I have a
toxic
question.
routine. Yes, sure.
So, does that mean that the more you practice something, is there, am I mistaken to think that there is a connection between time and the energy efficiency of those neural networks? So, the longer that you use them, the shorter the pathways become, therefore making them more efficient. Is that something that's
100%.
just hanging in my brain randomly?
100%. Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you've ever done, we've all did, right?
Yeah.
Think about a task you've had to do repeatedly. Like you had to repeat this task, repeat it. At first, you were slow, right? And then the more you went into the task, the faster you got, right? And to a
It's like
point,
driving, for
yeah,
example.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
very
exactly. And
difficult at first, right? You sit down and you're like, oh my God, I have to like think about the pedal and the pedestrians and the signals and everything. And then over time, it just becomes automatic. You don't even think about it.
exactly. And so it's all about automatisms. You said it. And it's the four steps of perhaps conscious leadership, stages of competence, of skill, however you want to call it. So basically, you have the unconscious competence. That's called ignorance. Okay, that's when you have a skill, but you don't know you have the skill. Okay, or you don't have it. Then you have the conscious incompetence. So that's called awareness. Okay, and then you have the stage of learning. That's conscious competence. So you go from unconscious competence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence, which is learning, and then unconscious competence again, which is mastery. The first is unconscious incompetence, sorry, unconscious
So
competence. And
let's put it in like some trading terms. So first, unconscious incompetence means that you don't know much, you don't know anything, and you sit in front of the charts and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. This is so confusing. And then you get to, what's the second one?
conscious incompetence.
Conscious incompetence. So you can start to see events, price action events unfolding in front of you, but you don't have enough experience to take advantage of them efficiently. I actually like that stage, because you see that the people are like, oh my God, that was a failed auction. Oh God, I didn't take it. But at least you saw it. You saw it as it was developing, and you're like, oh, right, hold on a minute. And this is why I say outcome of the trade, especially in the beginning, it doesn't matter much, at least in my opinion, because you are definitely moving to the next stage of competence. And it's beautiful because you're like, I can see all of these setups, but I didn't go in, or, you were late, or you messed up the execution. And that's exactly what that is. It's the conscious incompetence. You see what you have to do, but you don't yet have the skills to take advantage of it. And then we get to the third one. What is the third one?
CC, conscious competence. That's
That's
learning.
conscious competence. So you've learned how to take advantage of it. You might still make mistakes, but you are able to identify the setup. And then most of the time you take advantage of it, but you still make mistakes. However, you know why you made the mistake, and you know how to correct it. You know what needs to be done. And then the final stage, magic.
Unconscious competence. That's the
Unconscious
mastery
competence.
stage.
Yeah, that's mastery stage, when the expert looks like they're not even thinking, right? They're just like looking at a chart, entering a trade, and you're thinking, this person is just gambling. They're not gambling. It's just that they've done this thing so many times. They don't necessarily need to do elaborate plans and elaborate everything. I would actually argue that very few people in the trading world get to that point, where, they never make a plan. They don't need a plan. They just sit down and they see what they see, and that's it. So now you're thinking, well, I can do that. And it's like you started trading like 3 months ago. No, you won't be able to do the same thing. You need some very elaborate steps in order to put those skills into something that will work for you in the long run. Would you agree with that, Dr. Jerome?
Completely. So for mastery, I would even say that there's 2 layers. The first layer is automatic habit.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second would be mastery, actually, because
Right.
you can reach the 4th stage with practice, but
Yeah.
it's like driving. So when you drive, you have these exact 4 steps, right? When we learn driving, we know nothing, then we are aware, then we learn, and then you shift the gears. So in France, we have manual cars as well, and you
too.
okay, at first you consciously think about shifting the gears, right?
Yeah.
Then you start to be aware about the sound of the motor and the car, and you're like, okay, the regime is like, I gotta shift the gear, right? But you
Yeah.
consciously and unconsciously know it. And then your auditory system is used to that. It has the exact frequency between like 2500 rotations on the motor, between 3500. You're like, okay, I gotta shift the gear, and you do it, and then it's automatic, right? And it's exactly the same. The only single difference between one step to another, if you want to compare 2 individuals, is the time between both, or between one step to another. Whoever you are, wherever you live, and whatever you do, if you hard work, not smart work, okay? If you hard work, you will pass through these 4 steps. The only matter is time. But then if you add smart work to this concept, then the beauty of life happens.
Lovely. How can we apply this to trading? Because it's the same process, but I don't think that many people want to know about it. They're just like, well, I want to be profitable now. There's stages to that. So
we could teach it. Otherwise, it's like life, right? Life is like that as well. When we are a baby, how many times do you think a baby falls before being able to walk? There's stats about that. Do you know about it?
I don't know. I want to know.
It's more than 10,000 times. So
really?
We fail more than 10,000 times, yet we stand back up every single time, and we're like, I'm gonna do it, and then boom, you smash your head on the floor, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it again, and boom, and then you do it again, right? But we are unconscious about it, and then you grow up, you're like, oh, life is hard.
I don't want to fall. Exactly.
And that's not the same. And then you grow up, you're like, oh, I gotta pay bills. Oh, I gotta pay my mortgage. And you're like, okay, life is hard. And you don't have the same tolerance. When we are babies, we have free tolerance. I love babies. I love baby's brain. It's beautiful. And so in trading, it's the same. People fail twice and they're like, oh, I failed. I'm a failure. And they lose.
They can't handle it. Yeah.
And
then they're like, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this.
I don't trust people who are successful at it. Do you want to know what I used to start to think when I was unprofitable, and I couldn't first identify the loop I was in, and today we're going to speak about it. Identify the loop you're in, and second, get out of the loop. But to get out of the loop, you got to know the loop you're in, right? So I even thought, and that's a thought, I believe some people in the chat believe that, because I did, but now I know it's wrong. But I know a lot of people think that, and you can only believe that if you never had a single payout. I was so bad. The market wasn't, right? That I started to think the whole industry was fake, and people were paid to show fake payouts and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they all get paid. And when I first saw my name on the board, I was like, no, I'm not getting paid to get payouts. So this is true, this is true. And that's had a huge shift in my mind. But, my cognitive dissonance was, I'm human, right? My cognitive dissonance was so high that I was like, okay. My ego was so high that I was like, no, I'm not wrong. The industry is fake. That's the level your brain.
Yeah, it's like, it's not, I don't suck. Everybody else is just faking it. It's funny. I see we have Mo in the chat. Mohammed has joined
Hey,
us.
Mo.
Yeah, he's saying professionals are constantly going back and forth from stage 4 to stage 3. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I spent some time in stage 4, and after a while, I found myself lost, get back to stage 3. Yeah, I've experienced that as well. Like, nobody in trading is always like, oh, I'm the God's gift to trading. You kind of do well, and then you go, all right, I've got this. And then something changes in the markets. And if the system is not robust enough to account for those changes, you're thinking, oh my God, I suck. Like, what the hell? What's going on here? And you're kind of almost constantly flipping back and forth. But there is a point where you get to a stage where you're like, hold on, I've seen this before. So what did I do last time? This is where journaling and notes can help. It's like, well, if the markets go absolutely bonkers, what did I do last time? And for me, that was both the credit crunch. That was the first time, but I actually do pretty well in high volatility environments because all of my setups are just simply a little bit exaggerated, but they're still the same playbooks. However, every time I see it again, I'm like, oh, here we go again. Okay, now it's time to expand the stops, expand the target, still use the same sort of formulas. But I can back it up with experience. It's like what worked last time. If you don't have that experience, then you're just going to be like deer in the headlights, right? Oh my God, what's happening? And then suddenly your stops are taken out in like a nanosecond. You get afraid. And like Jerome says, you're afraid to fail is where you're like, whoa, I can't keep doing this. This hurts. And yet for some reason, as babies, we have that high, like you called it free tolerance. I love that term. It's like I have free tolerance, like forever tolerance. Just hit me as many times as you want, and I'll still get back up. And I think many people need to develop that as traders. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, let me see.
If only you knew, or if only I could express to you guys how fascinated not only am I, but all neuroscientists are on towards baby's brain.
Babies, yeah.
It's so impressive. Yeah, I'm not gonna start because we're gonna focus the whole session about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mohammed says, if baby was conscious, there will never be any walking. Yeah, we would all just be crawling across the ground. So maybe let's put that image as we're failing through challenges. Whoever is struggling in trading, put that image in your brain. If you don't fail and then get up to try again, there would never be any walking. So you would constantly be stuck in crawling mode. Do you want to be stuck crawling through life? Probably not, unless you absolutely have to. But generally, you want to try and walk. So let's learn to walk.
Yeah, I think somebody has a question about the RAS.
Yes. Yeah, I see that. How can we exercise? So Greg Sticks File wants to know, how can we exercise our reticular activating system, RAS, and gainfully increase our ability to recognize our positive expectancies before we hit the button or not? Is there a way besides lots of practice?
Interesting. So thank you for the question. So first, let's take a minute to understand what the RAS is. Okay, the RAS is a whole bunch of is a network in the brain, not only a network, but it's a system, as its name is, with multiple areas. So you have the cortex, intracortex, the cerebellum. Basically, the RAS plays a role in emotional processing, and it can influence your level of arousal or responsiveness to different stimuli. Okay, so it's involved in triggering emotional reactions. It's very important to understand the nuance. It's involved in triggering emotional reaction and can potentially contribute to the fight or flight response. Okay, so now you understand that it doesn't necessarily get involved in the quality of the input, but it will activate the whole cerebral cortex to wake you up, to give you a pump, to get you dynamic, to get you more focused, let's say. Okay, so to my knowledge, I can do research about it, but there's no like magic pill or for that, but you can basically do small micro tasks that stacked up can leverage the rest. Okay, And it's the same example as when we take the example of watch something else to your brain or open a new chart and just don't judge it, don't analyze it. And it's changing what your brain sees, what stimuli, what input it gets, so you can change the answer. Okay, so first you can do goal setting. Okay, there's something the RAS loves. It's goal setting. Okay, because it drives it, right? It's dynamic. So the RAS will be on high alert for relevant opportunities and information. Okay, so if you can set up goals, okay, this will activate, will keep vivid the RAS. Also, you can do visualization. Visualization is mental imaging. Okay, it keeps your mental active. So basically, when your RAS is enabled, you're mentally active, sort of. Okay, focus, energy, dynamic. So you can do visualization. You can have a dynamic vision board. So whatever you want to put it, whether it's images, writings, both videos, whatever it is, if you have a dynamic vision board, this will drive your mental as well. Okay, remember your mind is a temple. What's in your temple? What's in your chamber? Do you have multiple chambers? What do you see? What do you envision? Do you think about life in days, weeks, months, years, decades, or more? I don't know. So having a
Immortal.
dynamic vision board. Sorry,
I said immortal.
yeah, or in
It's a
seconds. I don't
Highlander.
know. Some
Yeah,
people,
in seconds. Yeah, I think many people think in seconds.
that's
So Greg has an addition to his question. Accomplish many tasks, not a single task multiple times. That's a very good question.
Have you been with us for the Stroop task, Greg? Because Coach Deeyana can tell you if you're good at doing multiple tasks.
So Greg, have you been with us for a while? Because Jerome took me through an exercise, and yeah, it didn't go well. Which I kind of know about myself as well. Like if I think I used to be better at doing multitasking when I was younger, but oh my God. So basically what happened is that he took me through a focused exercise first where I only focused on one thing and I excelled. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then he was like, right, now we're going to do the multitasking. So he engaged my brain into did you ask me to read it backwards or something? I can't quite remember what the answer was.
From 30
Yeah,
to 0
count
to
backwards. Yeah. And I just completely fell apart. I was like, not only did my brain processing power or the speed of processing fall to like nothing, I was also like, oh my God. So, okay, I probably shouldn't be doing multiple things because the brain just falls apart. So doing multiple things at the same time is excruciatingly difficult. So you don't want to be training your brain with like multiple things all at the same time and then try to sort that out. It's not productive at all. So you need to be doing something that's focused, and your brain needs to focus on one thing at a time. To connect this with trading, many people try to correct many issues all at the same time. They try to correct their positioning. They try to correct number of trades that they use per day. They try to correct number of levels that they use per day. They try to correct, fear-based behaviors, like all of this stuff. You need to look at that as a separate task. So if you're going to try and focus on all of it at once, how do you think that's going to go? It won't, right? So if you break it down into one task per week or per every couple of weeks, depends on how much of an issue that particular problem is for you, you're going to get there faster than the poor trader who's like trying to change everything all at once. And it's kind of like trying to quit smoking, trying to get fitter, trying to eat better, change a job, buy a new house. All of these like excruciatingly stressful and difficult tasks, have a baby, throw it all together. You can't do it all at once. And when you do, when you try to, you fall apart for a very good reason, because we're not very good at multitasking as humans, unfortunately.
Thank you for that. So if you want, Greg, I can pull up the Stroop test and you can test it at home.
Yeah.
It's 10 seconds. So I shared my screen. I don't know if you guys see it.
Greg says, and OCD somehow I might just be full-blown batshit cray. Don't say that. Like, people like to connect behaviors that, like, are you actually diagnosed with OCD? I always ask this, because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I've got ADD, or I'm OCD. Like, they connect these very specific, or I'm autistic. It's like, do you actually have a diagnosis? For the most part, they won't. They won't have a diagnosis. They'll just be like self-diagnosing. Oh, I'm a little bit unfocused, so I must be autistic. It's like, that's not really what autism is. Everybody has their own issues. It doesn't mean that it's automatically OCD if you like doing things in a pattern. It can actually be a good thing, right? You like structure in your life. But if you're obsessively washing your hands, like you have to wash your hands 3 times every time you wash your hands, yeah, that might be a disorder, in which case you probably already know that, and you probably already have a medical professional and a physician taking care of you, right? But unless it's diagnosed, I really don't like connecting labels to people's behaviors. What are your thoughts about this, Jerome? Because I don't know, I've got a bit of a pet peeve about that.
Yeah, I agree. I sort of resonate. I also like if we are friends, but not we don't see each other on a daily or weekly basis. But if we were, you would know that I often say, like almost always, don't be hard on and with yourself. Again, your mental is a temple. We spoke a lot of time about self-sabotage in trading, but forget about trading. How many of us, and we all did, right? And we all do. How many of us do self-sabotage ourselves, like in personal life? Why do we do this? Why does it matter? It's very interesting. So people, concerning your points, for example, OCD or other points, often we mismatch. I believe we mismatch outcomes with identity, and that is something we're going to speak about today as well. And I believe it's a very important point. 1 to 3% of people are usually well successful, and there are reasons to that. And one of the main reason to that is that rewiring your identity is mainly, not only, mainly based about how you reflect about what happens in your life. So I had a philosophical mentor that's called Jack Sparrow, and he said basically, what happened, events are not what's the most important. It's your reaction towards them, and it's very true. It's very true. So what happens. You lost a trade. Can you control Z? No, you can't. You can't reverse, right? You can't reverse what happens. Unfortunately, I don't have a time machine. If you do, call me, but we don't have that yet. So you can't get back in time. And
I was discussing this with Anne Marie. She said, "Oh, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a time machine as traders?" It was yesterday at during lunchbox trading, and I said, "Yeah, but wouldn't that then create a paradox? Like, if you knew something was going to go up and you go full port, would you cause, like, let's say you go like 200 lots in because you know that it went up last time this happened, right? And then you go back in time, do the full port, and then cause mayhem because you move the markets too much. So would that then cause a paradox? And would we then have 2 separate parallel realities where he's the one who made so many questions, right? Jerome, do you want me to share this second screen that you just added?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, if you want to do the test. Greg is mentioning the DSM. Please don't read the DSM if you don't have a medical education. You won't understand it. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would, but you would confuse yourself. So here we go. Deeyana, can you please? Sorry, I'm taking you again. Can you please read? Oh, where did it go?
Oh,
where is
I
it?
know. Here it is. Yeah.
Can you please read the second line?
No. So hold on. We lost it.
What is happening? Is it okay? I think. Okay, please wait a second.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll get there. Okay, at the stage.
There Do you have
it? Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you see there's 2 lines, and we're going to start with the one on the bottom. And Greg, I
Okay.
want you to do the same exercise, and I want everybody to do it. So the goal of the exercise is to read the written colors out loud. And we're going to start with the one at the bottom. Can you start from the left to the
So
right,
not
please?
words, but colors.
Yes, please.
Okay. Green, blue, red.
Sorry, word. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Words. Okay.
Words, yeah.
Market, kid, scarf, kid, block, grab.
And now can you do it on the top? But it's actually colors we had to do. But can you do the colors at the top, please?
Yeah.
You got me confused.
Green, blue, red. No, I don't know whether that's brown or red, but yeah, orange, yellow, purple. I've
Okay.
gotten better at this because
Yeah,
it
but
bothered
we
me.
got some time. But basically,
It bothered me last time. I was like,
when
oh
we put
no.
2 tasks on top of them, but last time I did this, but another task as well. The other was harder.
Yeah,
And
I totally
so
fell
you did
apart.
very well.
Totally fell
You
apart.
did very well.
But because I knew what to expect this time, so I was like, okay, I'm going to prepare myself. I have a confession to make. It bothered me so much that I looked into this exercise and then I practiced it to get better.
Cheater! Cheater!
But see, that's my crazy brain. It's just,
Anyway,
oh my
that's
god,
great.
I'm not good at that. I need to get good at that. It was just it's a silly thing, but yeah,
That's
it's just
amazing.
my
That's
silly
amazing.
brain. So yeah, last time you really got me because my brain just totally grinded to a halt, and I didn't like that. It's like, no.
That's beautiful.
Speak the color, not the word. Yes, Greg. That's
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, basically, Greg, our brain, they hate, like, brain hate doing multitasking. We can, but when you try to leverage 2 areas highly, you won't be able to. And it's like the emotional versus the rational brain. There's always a point at which one of them is in control, sort of, okay? And it's all related to brainwaves, and we're not going to go into a neuro course here, but we could, about brainwaves. You have different brainwaves in the brain, so such as the heart does. Our whole body is run on electrical activity with between our heart and brain, and the heart has different regimes of electrical activity, right? So does the brain, but the brain has different, and depending on which regime is majorly in activity, our consciousness state can be different. That's why we have ordinary state of consciousness and modified states of consciousness, OSCs and MSCs, okay? And this is something like defined in psychology and in psychiatry and in medicine and science. So brain is fascinating, and you can do a lot of multiple things with the brain, but sometimes we can't. And one of them is not being able to do multitasking, especially if you have goals, because your brain is going to be like, okay, I want to go this route, and then you're telling your brain, oh, I'm going to go this route as well, and then your brain is like, we have 2 ways, which one I'm going to take? And you think, go straight, and it's going to do a hybrid model. That's what you tell yourself, okay? But unfortunately, that's how it's going to happen in the end. Alpha, beta, delta, theta, yeah, exactly. So basically, if you want, we can go into the lessons of today. It's kind of merging with the topics, and we can bounce here and there. We've always said we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. Oh yeah, Jerome, the occipital cortex in the brain. Yeah, of course. But the brain doesn't passively take in reality. It interprets it, okay, shapes it, predicts it. We love patterns. Our brains love patterns. So we want to see what we know, right? And we want to tell ourselves that what we see, we know it, because we hate the unknown, right? So when we see the market or a person or our future, we're really seeing through a model built from past experience. Remember your thalamus and your hippocampus, your memory. You store in elements to remember. And we're going to speak about relationships with others, okay? For breakups, for example, or when you date people. So what are you currently projecting onto your charts? onto your partner, onto your future. There's something like between emotional truth and objective reality. There's a gap, a nuance, not small but not big, at same time. So emotion feels like truth, right? Because it's something we know, it's something we recognize, it's something we are familiar with. But it isn't always. It's just a familiar reaction, as I said. So for trading, for example, if you say, oh, I just knew it was going to reverse, but what we felt, because we all feel that, right? What we felt was FOMO, fear of missing out, or hope, for example. Or when we say, I knew it would fail, then we were projecting past pain onto the present chart. Okay? And it happened to me today, for example, I'm saying the thinking because I'm human. And I was like, oh, interesting, I'm thinking that. And in the end, it didn't happen. But yet my brain just once had this thought of, oh yeah, this is going to happen. And I was like, oh, interesting. Why is it going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. And it didn't happen. But sometimes it does, right? But I was curious about how it happened. So when your nervous system speaks, that's exactly what I asked today to myself. What is it trying to protect me from? Or what is it telling me, right? And I understood that it was trying to protect me from the fear, not of missing out, but the fear of being right about what I thought what would happen and not leaving the trade. It's tricky, right? So I was like, why do you, like brain, sit down, just leave the process work. Leave the process work, the system do it itself, and let the cake cook.
Brain, sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
Brain, shut up. It's like, you're wrong. Pipe down in the cheap seats.
Exactly. As,
let the data speak.
As Dr. V would say, let the cook cake. And
yes,
I
love that analogy, actually.
Yeah.
I love the fact that she said, do you sit there? She said, when you're baking a cake, do you sit in front of the oven and every time a bubble comes up, oh, is it done? Oh, is it done? Oh, is it done? It's like, that's exactly what we do with trades. It was such a great analogy. And I think she's more on the side of like me, looking for bigger swings in the day. And it was such a perfect analogy. So she was like, well, do you take out the cake before it's done? No. So why do you close your trade before it gets to your target? Like, if the target is correct, then there should be, if it's based on some data and you've tried and tested that many times before, don't take it out and the target is not massively over ambitious. Again, it comes back to data, right? But if you've tested, like, for example, we had this conversation in the just behind the scenes. It's like, if you know that your trades reach, let's say, 25 points on most days, that is the target. It's like this, but if that changes, obviously you have to change with it. However, you know that to be true. So if you then cut the trade much earlier, like let's say after 5 points, because it kind of took some time to get going, that's not following the process. That's literally listening to your fears and going, oh my God, is it going to lose? Oh my God, is it going to lose? It's all so connected. It's amazing. But yeah, we have to train ourselves to push that part, the emotional part, to the side and try to focus on the data as best that we can. That's been a huge comfort for me personally. And I know, Jerome, you're very similar because you like data.
And so I let the cook bake and I got my cake.
Yeah, exactly. So that's we don't get the soggy bottom cake. We get fully baked cake, right?
Exactly. Sometimes it gets burnt, but we try not to get it burnt.
Yeah, that's a temperature thing. So yeah.
Exactly. Do we have questions? I don't have the chat.
We have we have one question from Siwa. Please speak more on the topic of hating the unknown. I work with the unknown in other areas. It's a positive work. So this idea of hating it is interesting to me. I want to know more. I actually find that most people are maybe not hating the unknown, but they're horribly scared of the unknown. So let's break this down.
To lift any misunderstanding, thank you for this question. When I mentioned we hate the unknown, I often would say I or we, speaking about our brains. So our brains hate the unknown, not us as human beings. Us as human beings, 100%, I would say we are afraid of the unknown. But why is that? Why is that? Why do our brain hate the unknown? Or why would I say that? I would say that brain don't like change. Okay, brains don't like change.
Yeah.
Brains are plastic.
Because
So
it feels uncomfortable, right? It feels
exactly. So
uncomfortable. And
I was
the
waiting for you to
brain,
finish it. You did.
I think the issue is that uncertainty represents something that it basically pokes into your confidence levels, and then you're like, well, that's not safe. How do I know I'm going to be safe? And then your brain tries to pull you back into the comfort zone. But throughout my life, I've been actually very good at just discarding that feeling and just going for it, because I know that I've had outcomes that were wildly rewarding when I did that. Yet we have people who stay stuck in relationships that don't work or jobs that they hate. Why do they do that? Because they're afraid of the unknown. They're like, oh, I always wanted to start a business. Well, why don't you? Oh, because I don't know what's going to happen. Well, nobody does. So just go for it. But not
Exactly.
everybody's like that. They are horribly afraid of the unknown. I actually had a trader, just to finish it up. I had somebody who wanted to be a trader, but he was in a job. He was a little bit older. So not like old, but I'm talking like mid-50s. And his family was all against him going into trading because they view it as gambling. They view it as something that will endanger their family. So naturally, he was fighting against everybody in their environment. Now, if you're somebody like myself, I've always fought with people in my environment because it never made any sense to them, because, you know, they're like, well, don't do that. Don't be a musician because that's not a secure job. Like, I fought with my mom over that. She wanted me to go to be, you know, an economist or something, which is funny because I ended up doing something very similar. But yeah, she was like, no, you need to get a proper job. Like, what is this music thing? And she perceived it as something that will endanger my future. Rightly so, because if you look at the stats, not many people make it in music, and they don't make very good living. But I was sure that, you know, I'm stubborn enough to keep pushing, and, you know, I did manage to make it work for me. But this particular trader, he was really struggling with it, and he came to me for personal coaching. And then he just kind of posted a couple of times and then sort of disappeared for a while, then came back with this very uh, big personal message, how he's got a job that he doesn't like, but then his boss wants him to work extortionate hours. And I was like, well, why don't you just push back with that? And he's like, but I can't because, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to lose the job. And I was like, I don't really know how to help you, because you don't seem to be strong enough to just say no to people and just say, this is what I want to do, or this is what I don't want to do. Like, you're going to have some boundaries, right? And some people just don't. And they keep going back to the life that they don't enjoy. And they don't really want to make the uncomfortable decisions that feel horrible at the time, with the purpose of life changing for the better at some point, like taking that leap of faith, I suppose. Is that mistrust in themselves? Is that like, oh, I can't do that? It's like, what is it really fascinates me. Like, what is the root cause of people not being willing to change?
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for sharing. And I want to mention, there's, and I think it was Siwa who asked
Yeah.
the question. He said, or this individual said, working with like the unknown, so they would know that basically. So this is a great example for cognitive dissonance. So the core element of the unknown is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is your brain telling yourself everything you know is sort of enough and you don't need to know more. So when you will try, so again, the same example we take every time. If you believe and if you've learned, if you've been taught that 1 + 1 = 22, then whatever whoever you encounter in your life, whether it's a Fields Medal Prize individual who tells you 1 + 1 = 2, you won't believe that, most likely, because it's cognitive dissonance. So that's the first element. You have many elements. Second, you have another core element, which is the ego. Okay, ego is part of our human beings, and ego is like a flame, okay, that grows and reduces depending on the environment, the temperature, let's say, what's happening, etc., and how you modulate it. So basically, from the ego floods a lot of things, okay, a lot of things. Two of them, only two, are disappointment and frustration. So when you were at school, have you ever felt disappointed and frustrated because you didn't know enough a lesson or you didn't perform enough at an exam? Have you ever felt that? Or a music, for example, or a recital or a practice, if you failed, sort of, it's, I don't want to call it a failure, I want to call it lack of knowledge. Okay, have you?
So I was a little bit weird as a child. So I didn't do particularly well at maths. So that was like a sore point for me. But it wasn't, as I found out later, because everybody was like, "Oh, do you suck at math?" It wasn't because I sucked at math. It was because I was so obsessed with music that nothing else matters. And people would try to tell me, "Dee, you're actually really talented. You should just apply yourself." But to me, that's the only what do you call it in English, subject that I didn't resonate with. I found it boring. I found numbers without any application boring. But physics, for example, I did pretty well, and most of the other lectures an excellent student, or I had like a B, but most of my grades were actually A's with very little effort. So, it's because I have photographic memory. Don't think that I'm like, oh, yeah, this is amazing. No, I literally heavily relied on my photographic memory to pass tests. So I would literally just study like 2 days or 1 day before, and I would just record everything in my brain. And then I would just use that to pass exams. And to illustrate how annoying that got, when my mom caught me out what I was doing, we had German at school. So she goes, "All right, I'm going to help you with homework. Let's study for the exam." So we had the lecture, and it was two characters, like brother and sister, whatever, and like some stupid story around it. And then my mom was like, "Okay, now I'm going to ask you questions." Now my mom speaks German. Most of my family does. I'm the only one that doesn't. And then my mom asked me a question that wasn't laid out in the right way. And she goes, blah blah blah, blah blah, and I go, "No, Mom, that's wrong." And she goes, "It's not wrong. I'm asking you a question in German. Just answer it." And I was like, "Well, no, you're supposed to ask me, how did Jack and Jill do this? Not, well, what did Jack and Jill do? Like, you have to ask it in a particular way." And she's like, "No, I can ask you any way I bloody want. Like, what are you talking about, Dee? Just speak the language." So she then figured out that what I was doing, I was remembering phrases and then just applying them to questions. And I got an A in German. I can't speak German for the life of me, And yet 4 years I had German. Every year I had an A. So that was my experience of school, right? So,
Okay,
yeah.
but let's say outside of school, can you resonate with that? Resonate with the fact that when we face the fact that we lack of knowledge, but sometimes, and that's my third point, the third core element I would say is we don't know what we don't know. And we mentioned that with Dr. V last week, and I will repeat it every single week. We don't know what we don't know. And that is crucial. And before knowing that we don't know what we don't know, you know only a few things, right? So when you realize that the few you know is not enough, that's when disappointment and frustration kicks in. And so what happens when that kicks in, that gives the limbic system control over the PFC. So what does this translate to trading? Okay. Trading is like, for example, you have a setup, a strategy. You're a beginner trader, okay? You have a strategy, but you don't know that your strategy is BS, okay? So you fail.
Flawed strategy, yeah.
Like a lot. I've been through, I think, more than 50 different strategies before getting like a balance, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I was thinking I was the mistake when it wasn't that. It was my knowledge. It was my level and my depth of knowledge. And what we know in neuroscience is mistakes are only proof that the brain needs a new option. Okay. At school, this sentence particularly makes sense as well. So when you keep making the same error, the same mistake, let's say revenge trading, overconfidence after a win, it's not that you're stupid or undisciplined. It's that your brain doesn't have a stronger rehearsed alternative. Okay, you are not trained to react to the event, right? If every single time you lose your revenge trade, guess what's the loop? Guess what's the pattern? Guess what's the habit? Oh, I'm going to revenge trade. If you stand up, have a walk, drink water, take some fresh air, have a cigarette, take a coffee, whatever you want, whatever you need. If you have this habit, you will, and you repeat it, that will be your loop. Okay. So if after every single win or every single lose, you lock yourself out for 15 minutes, let's say, then that's going to be your habit. Whatever micro move you implement, that's going to build your habit. And forget about trading, use this in your day-to-day life. How many of you are run on automatic mode in their daily and personal and professional life? You sleep, you wake up, you go to work, you eat, you come back from work, you watch TV, you make dinner, you watch TV, you go to sleep. Perhaps you trade the Asian, just kidding. And then you wake up, you go back to work, etc. And you repeat, right? And then you look back and you're like, 20 years have passed. What the heck has happened? And that's something we'll speak tomorrow with Dr. V, actually. So I'm not gonna tease more about it, but yeah, that's a very interesting topic.
That's a deep one. That's a deep one. 20 years have passed and I've done nothing, right? That's something that was always a big fear of mine. It's like, I don't want to regret my life. I want to live my life to the fullest, right? That's, I think, one of the reasons why I did everything that I did, because I've seen how many people regret at the end of their life that they didn't do X, Y, and Z, right? So I was like, I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm going to do everything. So yeah, but again, I'm maybe a little bit unusual in that regard, to the point of being slightly crazy. And everybody around me is like, Dee, you can't always do your head through the wall when you want something. And I was like, no, I can't. You can't. Like, we've got my sister in the chat. She can tell you how insane I was even as a child.
You're a baby. When you were a baby, you smashed your head on the floor, and now you smash it on the wall. That's great.
When I was 12, I went to negotiate my own album halfway across the city with like a bunch of weird men who sort of knew my dad because they ran a business together. But I went by myself with a friend, but still she was also 12. So, that was no help. And of course, in the end, the guy was very nice. And, he called my dad and he told him. And my dad was like, what were you doing in the studio by yourself with 4 adult men? Are you insane? And I was like, what? I just went to negotiate my album. And he was like, never do that again. Otherwise, we're going to have words. So yeah, it's, yeah. Joseph says X, Y, and Z. Yes, we say Z in the UK. In the US,
we say it in
it's
France as
Z.
well.
Yeah, exactly. We're European here, man.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we often speak about pain as well, right? And pain is a core part of growth in general. Okay, whatever growth is involved, pain has a huge part in it. So we all know the concept of pain in trading. Of course, there's books about it. Tom Hoggart has a great book about it. There's great writings about it. I also have great experience about it. Like, it's very fascinating to read it and experience it, between the theory and practice there's a gap. So the thing with pain is, like everything else, without proper integration, proper reflection, you miss it. You miss part of it, right? So pain doesn't teach you automatically. First, what pain teaches you is that it hurts, right? But if you stick to that feeling, you're not going to learn that much. So the problem is, many people feel pain and they just repeat it because they stop at it. They start at absorbing the pain. You learn when you pause, decode, and integrate, when you reflect. Okay. So a breakup hurts, doesn't it? Right? It hurts, right? So perhaps you binge content on attachment styles. Perhaps you binge a drama, romance movies or series or TV shows or whatnot. Perhaps
emo rock music. that was
that as
mine.
well. Exactly. So we all have an escape, right? That's very nice. Thank you. So the thing is, if you don't actually change your internal filter, you will end up in the same dynamic with a different name. Exactly the same. So pain is the trigger, integration is the lesson, and reflection is the bridge between both. Okay? So when you integrate, you rewire your identity. And we've done that in the past together. We've done a rewiring, reflecting, visualization. And we use it in healthcare as well, for pathologies or other cases. So the thing is, your memory is connected and linked, rooted with emotions. Okay, so memory without emotional update reinforces the past. So if you think about something that hurt you a lot, okay, I'm not giving examples, but every single one of you right now, if you think about something that hurt you a lot, you can have it right here, right now, right? Why can you have it right here, right now? Because it's this memory, this event anchored a memory that is attached with this emotion, an emotion, a feeling that hurt you a lot. But the beauty of the brain and our beings is that you can rewrite this. So if you work on that, let's say in a month, I ask you the same question, I can assure you, you will not have the same thought coming, because you would have rewired your emotional identity through this memory. And it's plastic, it's not a vault. Your memory is not a vault, it's plastic. So when you revisit an event, your brain reconsolidates it. Of course, it's fearful. You're like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to gonna open this door. I know what's gonna happen behind this door. I don't want to go there. But you're not alone. I'm not asking you to do this alone, right? So there's process through it, and that's how we can go through it. So if you only revisit it through the same lens, it's only gonna get stronger, right? Because it's gonna win over you. You're gonna open the door, it's gonna bark at you, and you're gonna be like, oh, I'm afraid, and you're gonna run away, right? And so you're gonna reinforce that, right? So that's why
Trader Ken says, yeah, getting a payout not approved from another prop hurts a lot. And yet some people keep going back to those same props. So yeah, what does that tell you?
Exactly.
You want the pain over and over?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's blocked state as well. So sometimes that happened to me at some point at school, during my 4th year, and thankfully I got out of it. So sometimes we get blocked. Okay, we get stuck, if you prefer it, stuck, and we don't know it. And it's all about the state we live in. So you don't push a stuck car out of the mud with mindset, oh, this it's gonna go. Like, of course, have faith, but the mindset is not gonna change. Like, you gotta do some physics tricks, some wood, some rock underneath the wheel, and so you change leverage, you change how you approach it. So a blocked state is the same. It's a nervous system in freeze, in shutdown, or overdrive. And my case was overdrive. I burnt myself. I was burning my neurons. I went to a doctor, to a neurologist, and he said, you're overthinking, overdoing, like, calm yourself, sit down. Like, he didn't tell me to sit down, but you got the point. So I was like, okay, wow. And yeah, I worked through it, and yeah, it was fascinating. So instead of what's wrong with me, try what part of me isn't on board yet, or what part of me is not ready yet, is learning, is growing. We are human beings. Okay? We are not human doings. We are not human havings. We are human beings. So we are, okay? And this, I love this concept because there's a concept, and hopefully I will make content about it. Will not be the first nor the last, but it's be, do, and have. Okay, the concept of being, of doing, and having. So most of people, they want to have instantly, and yes, we can speak about instant gratification, but not only about that. So most people, they want to have, they want to have quick and fast, and they only want to feel, they only want to have the end result. But before having it, you got to do things. Okay, so people are like, okay, to have this, I gotta do this. And that's where most of people fail, because they are stuck into the doing. Okay, they're like, okay, I gotta do this. What do I gotta do? Okay, I'm gonna do this. But they do it in a state they can't achieve success. What do you need to be a profitable trader? You need to trade a profitable strategy. Okay, but are you a profitable trader? Are you a profitable trader? We don't ask, do you have a profitable strategy? We ask, are you a profitable trader? Because you can have a profitable strategy and be an unprofitable trader because your execution is off, right? So you got to become before doing, right? It's like being a president. Do you think, oh, I'm going to apply to presidency? No, you got to be, I'm not like saying any politician things, but it's like being a doctor. Yes, of course, when you get into med school, you want to be a doctor, you want to have it. But you got to do the knowledge, you got to do the practice, you got to do the exams and all of it, right? But before doing, what you got to do? You got to be, okay? You got to become. Be is a great auxiliary. I love it because you have many connections with it. And become is the core of it before doing. And most of people miss it. And again, I link that to we don't know what we don't know. Okay? So we always learn, and there's always something to learn. So if you have a clear be, do, and have like layer in your mind, and you understand that we always grow, then your being is always improving. And you can understand that your doing will always be enhanced by your being, and therefore your have, what you get, okay, what you get from your actions is going to be enhanced, therefore, by your doing, because you became something different. But guess what? If you don't change who you are, nothing going to change, because there's a wall between being and doing. And whoever you are, whatever you do, you can trust me, 95% of the time this is applicable. So block state is a freeze, a shutdown, or an overdrive. And what's the smallest safe action I can take from here? What do you think about it, Coach Deeyana?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with block states because I think at any point in anyone's trading journey, you will get to a realization that it's you doing something wrong, even if you have a great strategy, and then you try to follow it. And if you've had trauma from previous losses, which many traders do, and previous mistakes, you have a few issues. First of all, you no longer trust yourself. It's like, well, I made these mistakes before. How can I stop myself from doing? Can I even stop myself? And then you're like all up in your head. And when I had one of my bigger losses in the beginning of my career, this was many years ago. Yes, I made a mistake. I got super biased on a swing trade that went against me and then more against me. And I kept adding and adding and then eventually removing the stop loss. I mean, totally stupid, right? But it was my fault at the end of the day. And I was like, what happened there? And when I came back to trade, I was shaking. I could see the setup, but I'm like, oh my God, but this happened last time and I was wrong. And then I blew the account. I don't ever want to do that again. And I tried to enter a trade, and I kid you not, my fingers were just like shaking. they were like shake, and I couldn't click the button. And I was like, what is happening? Why? So I was definitely in that sort of blocked state where my brain just wasn't following my motor function. It just said, no, I'm not doing this. And I fought against it on the first like week or so. And then I thought to myself, how can I fight this? This is what put me on the path to learn more about neuroscience and how our brains work, because I wanted to know how to combat this and then also how to solve it so that it never happens again. My solution to that was to completely get rid of glycogen reserves, so that through exercise, so that the fight or flight response has little to no fuel to kick off. So I would go to the gym before I would trade, and then I would not allow myself to trade before I've been to the gym. That's how I got into bodybuilding. Because again, Dee never does anything halfway, does she? She has to like all or nothing. And it helped me. It helped me to control myself. It helped me to understand how my brain was working. And it just became easier. But yeah, unblocking yourself, it's probably one of the most difficult things you will ever do in life. At least in my experience.
Thank you for sharing. So how did you overcome this block state?
I went to the gym, and then eventually it just got easier. I tried to engage my rational brain, because when you're in a fight or flight mode, there is no rational thinking. It's just all fear-based. It's all, like I said, you're all up in your head, and you just can't move from there. It's just, there's no way. So I tried doing the meditation, didn't help me. It helped me with other things, but I don't think it helped me with the block state in particular at that point in my life. The only thing that worked for me was to go and literally get rid of all of the glycogen, negativity, and basically any fuel for the fight or flight response. Because I don't know how many people know this, but I mean, I'm sure you do, Jerome, because this is your profession. But glycogen stores in our muscles are there for the times when we need to go into the fight or flight response, when you're like either running from a lion or you need to punch someone out to protect your life. That's what they're there for. And then there's a connection between adrenaline, and then you have the glycogen reserves that start to be shuffled from the rest of your body into your muscles, and the whole thing just kicks off the heart rate. So your heart starts pounding. You start getting that hot feeling in your head and stuff. All of that is just fight or flight. So I couldn't really get over the fear and that, really huge, emotional overwhelm, I suppose is a good way to put it, without actually going and getting it out of me physically. So just go and lift some heavy stuff, get it out of my system. And I actually have, I don't know whether I can find it now, but in one of my lectures, I have this anime and this illustration of an antelope that runs out of glycogen reserves. I'm going to see if I can find it. But it basically gets into the surrender mode. So it's no longer fight or flight. It's got no more battle in it. And it just surrenders to the lion. And it's an illustration of a lion over it about to bite in. And the antelope just goes, do you really want to ruin all of that cardio with food now? So it turns into a wisecracking antelope, because suddenly the rational brain is re-engaged and you're trying to fight verbally rather than trying to fight physically, right? And it's like such a funny way to illustrate it. I'm going to see if I can
very
find
funny.
it. Yeah.
What's interesting is also when you don't eat, when your body needs glucose, like sugar, you have glycogenolysis. I think it's that.
Oh, gluconeogenesis, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So you
but
burn
it's only
glycogen.
Small. Yeah, it's only small though. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
small. Yes.
Yeah, it's enough for the brain and basic functions. So yeah, that's
exactly.
what happens in ketosis. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, metabolism and nutrition courses were not my favorite ones, to be honest, because you have all these Krebs cycle and all the cycles between all the molecules. You got to learn all of these gets transformed from that to this by this enzyme, and it releases this amount of energy. And like, God,
it's not
just give the medic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the most exciting stuff, but to me it was useful to find out about it. I was interested in nutrition anyways, but from a health perspective. But yeah, I don't know whether I'll be able to find this right now, but maybe I can find it for the next one, so I don't spend too much time looking through my drive. But yeah, it's a very, very funny illustration. It's Angelo going, you want to run all that cardio now? Yeah. Yeah.
So to pull on, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we have a question. We have a question from Gherkin. Let me just find it. Oh no, did Bruno post it? No. Okay. Can you provide details about this amygdala in this loop and how to, for example, influence it with nutrition? Well, can we influence it with nutrition? Do you think nutrition and behaviors? I mean, yeah, I suppose if you eat crap all the time, that's not going to be good. But I don't think you can break bad habits just by eating well.
No, but I think I'm pretty sure there are some foods or endocrinous perturbators, disturbers, that perhaps gets you more anger, tensed, sort of. So that would hinder the amygdala. But basically, the amygdala and the limbic system and the PCC and ACC, so cingulate cortex, they play a major role in the emotional network. Okay. Versus the logical one. And if you got our slides, you can go and do a search. We've shared that in precise details. And if you don't have the slides, they will be shared at the end of the segment on Discord by Bruno, so you can find it. But basically, yeah, the amygdala is influenced not only by the events, but only by how we reflect on it. So again, road rage. You are on the road, somebody cuts you right in front of you. Do you react? Do you get angry? Do you yell? Do you press the klaxon? Like, what do you do? What are you doing? So it's the same event. Take 10 people, it's the same event, but you will have 10 different reactions because our way of managing our emotional systems, they're all different. So yeah, for food, I bet there are some food that could hinder that. I don't have examples now. I could search, but yeah, I bet on a Google search we could find things. But on another side, yeah, I resonate with you. I don't think there's foods or food supplements that could help you create better habits yet.
I mean, I wish.
There's thing.
Just take a pill and it's all solved. That if we manage to invent that, yeah, that would be
there's a magic pill.
Idea.
It's called the P2P pill. Do you know what it is?
No.
Pill to pay out. I'm gonna release it. So you take the pill and you get a payout. Pill to pay out. I'm just
pill
kidding.
To pay out.
So,
yeah, coming in September. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you just could take one pill and all of your impulse control issues? I know that some pills out there do have an impact on impulse control. I know that some new medications like those GLP-1 inhibitors and stuff, or agonists or whatever they are, they're not inhibitors. They help the GLP-1s. So yeah, there's evidence. For now, anecdotal, there's no good studies on it yet, but there's evidence that they modify the dopamine responses in the brain, not just towards food, but towards all potentially compulsive and addictive behaviors. So that'll be an interesting development if that works, if you can like jab yourself with Ozempic and suddenly find that your trading issues are minimized at the very least. Obviously, there's no research, it's just anecdotal. It's being researched now for certain addictive behaviors. So like, and I think that's where it came from. Correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know more about this, Jerome. But wasn't it like a drug to help drug addicts wean off of them, the stuff that they were doing?
Yeah,
initially.
so.
Yeah. And then they discovered that a whole bunch of people lost weight and they're like, oh, let's give it to diabetics. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have some drugs, pill to pay out or jab to pay that might be able to.
I think it's for diabetes. Yeah, it's for diabetes first. And then we realized Yeah, but now it's given to people who don't even have diabetes if you pay for it. So basically, if you have a diabetic condition, you will get
Yeah.
reimbursed. I mean, your insurance is going to cover it partially or totally. But if you don't have diabetes yet, you still want it, you're going to pay full price.
Yeah.
Outside
Yeah.
of France, of course, because
I know that in the States it's extortionately expensive, or at least it used to be. I think they used to like charge like $800 a month or something crazy. Over here, I have a few friends who are on it because they have various issues. Some of them are diabetic, some of them have just like back pain and stuff, and then they got overweight and they couldn't move and stuff, so they got prescribed it. And apparently there's like a whole bunch of stuff that is really beneficial that nobody is really talking about it in the mainstream. So it is definitely interesting. But yeah, clearly for now, we do not have a jab to pay out or a pill to pay out. So we have to do it the hard way for now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, Mohammed says, I was recently diagnosed with high bad cholesterol, LDL. I'm not sure if the bills will have a negative or positive impact on my trading. Bills? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mo.
Oh yeah, sometimes sorry, but same time it's nothing. I mean, if it's only this, I'm not gonna ask Mo to disclose any other elements. If it's only, unless it's very high, but I doubt it. Mo, if you like fish, eat fat fish. Okay, eat fat fish. Eat omega-3, omega-6 butter. Okay, and that will go away. LDL is very easy to lift. You can eat as well yellow eggs. Okay, if every day you eat like 2 yellow eggs, or if you want to eat 2 yellow eggs and 1 yellow plus white egg, that will help a lot. Yeah, it's not so very high. That's what I thought. Yeah, it's a condition that you can lift very easily, and you will increase your HDL. So LDL is low density lipoproteins, and HDL is high density lipoproteins, or lipo, I don't know. And so basically HDL is the good cholesterol, LDL is the bad cholesterol. So you need a lot of HDL and low amount of LDL, sort of. And so if you have a few over LDL, it's okay as well. So, and no shrimps, yeah. So I trust you're gonna do well, and it should not impact your trading. But yeah, best of not recovery, but best of following for the following.
Yeah, I mean, the high cholesterol, with a little bit of modification in nutrition is not too bad, as long as, like you said, it's not like through the roof. Then that's a different problem. But yeah, I mean, Mo, you're not overweight. I mean, you should be able to just make some changes. I don't think it's going to impact. I think if anything, people who have blood pressure issues, that will probably impact trading more, because trading is pretty stressful anyways, and if you don't have enough confidence in your trading, you get even more worked up, your cortisol levels shoot up, then high cortisol comes with a whole bunch of other issues. So yeah, it's that would probably make it would be more detrimental to the trading results. But high cholesterol, it's just more of a dietary thing, unless it runs in your family, in which case it's more genetic. But
exactly,
still,
the only thing is I have to mention it. So basically, what does cholesterol do? We all say, oh, cholesterol is a bad thing. We don't know why, right? So basically, to keep it basic, cholesterol create atheroma plates, okay, atheroma like layers in your arteries and veins, okay. The thing, Mo, I think I know you smoke. I don't know if you smoke a lot cigarettes, but the thing is, when we smoke, it expands the cholesterol, okay, these layers. So it doesn't mean a bad thing. It just means, yeah, try to take it seriously, not seriously. I mean, it's not a big deal, but take it seriously as if, okay, it's not a big deal yet. I still got to pay attention to it, and it's important. So it's my job to just say this.
Yeah. Mohammed says he's 45 now. We're the same age, Mo. Yay.
Wow.
Yeah. He says the doctor gave him pills for 3 months. Then we will see later. Okay, so he's put you on some pills. Well, yeah.
Did he get you statins? Do you have
probably.
more? more triglycerides than usual. Because if you don't have them, but anyway, it's medical. Hit me up in private if you want to speak about it. My pleasure.
Yeah. Like, again, Jerome is amazing. So, we're all a part of the Topstep family. So you may want to, reach out.
Sure. He knows he can reach out.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. You're so kind, Jerome. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. You are kind. I mean, I'm just being who I am. If you want to follow on learning, so learning is we are learning machines, right? And interrupt me whenever you want, as always. We are learning machines, right? We don't do learning. Okay, it's like when people feel that discipline is painful. Every second you are reinforcing something, either distraction or focus, either doubt or clarity, either hesitation or precision, either sadness or happiness, either excitement or boredom, and we can go on, right? So the moment you impulsively close a trade out of fear, out of emotion, you're just teaching yourself and your brain that avoidance is safety. So every time you want to feel safe, which is almost all the time, you will avoid. And what is avoiding for you? It's getting out early. Okay. So your learning environment is not just, I put your journal, but it's not just that. It's, as we said, your micro decisions, your rituals, your self-talk, what you do before doing things. You mentioned a breath. And then you click. So what you do before, what do you do after, what do you do during? All these micro steps, that's what make you different, right? That's what differentiates you from another one. And we spoke about identity, and learning only sticks if it touches identity. So a behavioral change doesn't last if it conflicts with identity. Again, we spoke about cognitive dissonance, okay? If deep down you believe 1 + 1 = 22, no amount of math will override it long term. So if deep down you believe I'm not a consistent trader, no amount of strategy will override it long term. Someone with poor self-worth, okay, may sabotage great relationships. Someone with poor self-worth may sabotage great relationships, not because they want to, but because it feels unfamiliar. And I've experienced it on the other side, and I know some friends who've experienced it as well. So that was it for the slides. Thank you very much, and we can follow up as usual, talking and getting into questions.
Yeah, excellent. So we had Hardeep asking us, Jerome and D, supplements for mental clarity and focus that are okay to take. And then he adds, to deal with stress as well. Well, that would be a different pill. But do you have any particular supplements that you might want to take for focus and mental clarity?
Very some. So indeed, if it's to deal with stress, etc., then it gets into medical. So it's more than a pill than food supplements. But you have multiple molecules. Actually, I am in the process of releasing my own mental clarity, focus, energy, and endurance food supplements. So it's not going to be released today, not going to be released tomorrow, but you're going to hear about it. What I can say about it is food supplements with lion's mane, okay, are great. Not all of them, but that's a component, very interesting and very promising component. So I don't have any food supplements to advise you, but in a couple of months I would.
Lion's mane is amazing for connecting the processes that are generally mundane and they annoy you. And I would argue that good trading is boring and mundane and annoying sometimes because, you have to wait, you have to be patient for your levels to come in. So I have taken lion's mane before, and I found that it did help me. But again, I don't have a problem with patience. I'm actually an endlessly patient person. So when I'm in a trade, you guys have seen me hold a trade for hours, absolute hours on end. and I have zero issues waiting. And also, you've seen me I take a lot of stick for not taking setups early, because I'm like, we're nowhere at my level. And people are like, Dee, do a trade. Dee, do a trade. It's like, I'm not at my, like, am I speaking Chinese or what's happening here? I do not trade away from my levels. If the level of interest is not there, I will not be in a trade. Very simple. If it's there, then yeah. But if it isn't, I wait. So I personally didn't find that much benefit. The benefit that I did find was verbal side of things. So if I had to, do an interview with someone, whether I was the interviewer or an interviewee, it would just make me calmer and my thoughts would connect even more than they normally do, if that makes sense. Because I'm pretty verbose anyways. But, lion's mane would just do something extraordinary where it would drag out these, I don't know whether it was a good thing for traders in particular, because it would drag out all of these like complex words. And suddenly I was like sounding like a complete whatever. So I stopped taking it because of that, because I already sound like enough of a smart ass. I don't need any more help there. So I need to tone it down, actually. So for me, it wasn't particularly helpful. But yeah, if you're struggling with patience, if you're struggling with connecting your thoughts into any sort of a cohesive flow, lion's mane is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I take it whenever I'm trying to code something, because that's not a part of my natural skill set. And I find it difficult. So every time I take lion's mane, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I totally get that piece of code now. So it's an awesome supplement. Is it a be all and end all? No. So if you don't have some skills to support it, don't expect that suddenly lion's mane is like a limitless pill from the movie that is going to make you into some superhuman. It doesn't work that way. But yeah, it's
but the one I'm going to release, though, no, I'm just kidding.
And you'll be releasing it. It's like, by the way, I'm working on a limitless pill. Yeah, it's funny. All right, let's have a look. Now we do have some housekeeping to do before we say goodbye, because we did have some changes for the live accounts. Pretty positive. So let me run through that very quickly. So as you might have heard, Topstep on the live account side is going to be covering one exchange for everybody who's live. So if you only trade CME, if you only trade NQ and ES, that $133 is going to be covered by Topstep. Now, if you're somebody like me who mainly trades COMEX and NYMEX, you can pick which of the two they might want to cover, and then you can get in touch with the trade desk to change that. And then they will also cover one of those exchanges as well. But I know that most people will be NQ traders, so, does that count? I don't know. However, if you want to have three exchanges, NYMEX, COMEX, and CME, well, they will only cover one of those. So whichever one is your major one, if it's CME, just leave it. You will still have to pay for the other two. But still, if you want to trade one, it's amazing. No more monthly payments towards the data. It's amazing. All right, then we have the dynamic live risk expansion. So before, if you wanted an expansion of your daily loss limit, you had to get in touch with the risk team. You had to have a fairly long conversation over why you want it, your performance, and for the most part, they would say no. But now we have dynamic live risk expansion. So as your profits grow, your daily loss limit increases with it. As your profits diminish, so will your daily loss limit. Now, those levels will be the same as the performance bonus that we already have in place. So you don't need to request this. This is an automatic process going forward, and your risk will grow with you or it will diminish with you. Also, if you've done payouts, your risk limit is going to remain based on your payouts, so not just whatever balance is left in the account. So keep that in mind. So it's not like, oh, you took too much out and now you have to you see that your risk has gone down to nothing. No, if you took a lot of payouts, the risk will stay, right? Very, very good. Now, when it comes to the expanded contract sizing, it's also kind of dynamic expansion, but there are still certain processes that you might have to talk to the risk team about. So to be eligible, you will generally have to reach tier 4 or higher for this dynamic position expansion, and to maintain an account balance of an absolute minimum of 100,000. So again, if you want to be pro ball, you want to get up there, your balance actually has to be over 100K for this to happen. And finally, now this one is a bit of a change from the previous rules, which is your in the past, like those of us who are grandfathered into live accounts, we could carry over the number of XFA days that you had like as green days into the live. But now once you get into the live, you will have to build up another 30 days. So that is a slight sort of I suppose they're taking away that. So you have to prove yourself in the live. And I think the reason for this is because a lot of people get to live and they just suck. So whether it's just, one account or whether it's a daily loss limit, I don't know, but they've noticed that there's, a little bit of struggle, extra pressure, different environment. So in order for everybody to be happy, they decided that you will have to build up those 30 days and effectively make sure that the consistency is also present in the live, just like it was in a simulated environment. All right, so that's it. And anything else that we want to add here? Let me just have a look at chat and whether I missed anything. Gherkin says, ginger and turmeric are my secret supplements. Yeah, I've tried both of those. It did very little for me. I mean, there is anti-inflammatory, but yeah. Ross Leon Pictures says, Dr. Jerome D, yes, I'm aware, but I'm mostly strict on the sugar part. I don't shy away from anything natural. Were you having...
Yeah, that was for keto diets. I said, please beware of strong cardiovascular side effects. And some people were speaking about sugar. So basically, our brain, do you know what's the food of our brains, actually?
The food of our brains?
Yeah, the main food. Yeah, our brains are fed by one main thing.
Well, I thought that it was the fats, right? The omega-3s.
No.
No? I'm wrong.
No,
okay.
It's glucose. So the food of the brain is glucose. So of course the brain uses nutrients and what you mentioned, but the main food of the brain is glucose. So sugar, but not sugar in general. Of course, you have many types of sugar. Sugar is not one sugar. So by saying this, eating glucose, eating sugar helps your brain. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying your brain uses glucose to work. And that's why, for example, with glycogen, you have nice interactions in terms of metabolisms. When you don't eat, for example, deliberately, you enter in a certain state of mind because your brain gets all the glucose from your body, and then it gets it from glycogen. So you have a whole of metabolism tricks when you go to see a nutritionist when you're an athlete, for example. When you're a high performance athlete and you need to change your weight, for example, or your ranking, your group of performance, your group. And so basically that's what they do. Have you ever heard fighters before how do you say it when they weigh before weighing? Weight
categories.
They
go to steam room.
They drink water, or they don't drink water. They lose like couple 5-6 kilograms.
So as somebody who has done more than 10 bodybuilding competitions in my life, we do something similar. So it's called peak week, and you will do, it's kind of it's a trick. It's not like a permanent thing, but basically you would water load, whereas I'm a very small person, so I only need to drink like 5 liters of water a day in order to start this process. And then on day 3 of water loading, you would cut the salt in half. All sodium from the diet goes to half. And then 1 day before show day, all sodium gets cut. So nothing can have salt in it. And you keep water loading. And then there's also like water pills that you take, like dandelion stuff and like herbal supplements that will make you expel water. And then you go to sleep, and before you go to sleep, you have half a glass of dry white wine. once you wake up in the morning of show day, you look like a superhero. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So it basically dries you out and tricks your body to think that it's kind of hydrated enough, but then it starts to expel water, and that kind of just sucks you in. It's the first time it happened, I woke up the next day and I had muscles that I have never seen in my life. I was like, what happened? It gets rid of all subcutaneous water retention, everything, but it doesn't last, because as soon as you eat a carb, because you also go low carb and then you carb load on the day or the previous day, depends on what you're trying to achieve. I was bikini fitness, so I didn't need to be like, oh yeah, I'm bodybuilder. So, we needed to have full muscles and low body fat, but you can't look emaciated. You have to look still full. And then you would eat like rice cakes. So you would have that on the day, and it would fill out the muscles. It would replenish the water in the muscles while still tricking your body to dry out all the water that you have elsewhere. It was insanity, absolutely. And I loved that process. I really did enjoy it. It was difficult on the body and the kidneys, I'm not going to lie. So I probably wouldn't do it now that I'm not particularly that healthy anymore. However, back then I was like peak fitness, and it wasn't even that long ago. It was like I did that from the ages of 37 to 40. So I wasn't young by any means. And it was a crazy thing what the body can do just with a little bit of manipulation of sodium with water. So I was keto for 8 years, full 8 years, and I found it beneficial for cardiovascular side, and I had pre-diabetes before I went keto. So for me, it was actually beneficial. And we spoke briefly about gluconeogenesis. Your body will create the glucose that it needs, because it's not like now you don't go dietary carbs, suddenly you don't have sugar anywhere. Your body can find its ways to generate the sugar that it needs for the brain. And I actually found mental clarity. I had a bit of brain fog before then. So for me, keto was a huge success. I wish I could still tolerate foods, because I've got MCAS now, which is mast cell activation syndrome. One of the lovely things that comes with some of my conditions. So I'm not able to tolerate a lot of the foods, but I wish I could, because it was like amazing. Clarity, emotional control was easier as well. But it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. You have to be so careful what you're eating and read all the labels and stuff. So it's only for nerds, really.
It's hard, but
It is
for
hard,
sharing, yeah, very nice. And it wasn't that far ago, that long ago.
Yeah, it was about I stopped about 5 years ago, because it got too much. I got to a point where I was so tired. I got outside, and it was not even early. I was going to the gym, and I was so tired, so exhausted. I was exercising 4 to 5 hours a day, and that carried on for, I did it like every day for years, but the competition part was like 2 years hardcore. So I got outside and I got to the car, tried getting in, and then kind of realized it's not my car. It wasn't the same make. It wasn't the same color. It was just like just losing it at this point. And then I also lost balance and sort of like fell in the shower. So I was like, I'm just tired. And that was the point where I was like, I have to stop. My body has had enough. It's like, no, I'm tired. Leave me alone. And, I wish that I could still exercise somewhat. But, it is what it is. Life happens and we just carry on. Anyways, we're going to finish it here. Hopefully you found this Neuro Wednesday useful. Jerome, remind me when you're on with Dr. V again, because I know
tomorrow.
I
believe it's going to be Power Hour. I assume. Oh, yeah, let me check. I think it's Power Hour, yeah. Because I think I have the date already. Give me a sec. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Yeah, I think it's after Power Hour, because Power Hour is the hour before. Because 8 p.m. for me is 7 for you, right?
It's 7 for me. Yeah. So that is that Power Players? Is that what they call it?
Possibly.
I think it's Power Players segment. Yeah. So tomorrow, that is let me translate that. That is 1 p.m. Central. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 1 p.m. Central. You will see Dr. Jerome and Dr. V again together. The previous session, if you missed it, it was amazing. And I highly advise that you check it out. You will learn so much, and you will be a much better trader as a result. All right, that's all from us today. This was the Neuro Wednesday with Dr. Jerome and myself, Mark Stalker D. Any comments to close out this session, Jerome?
Thank you very much to you, as always. Thank you to the chat. Hope this session was helpful. Tune in tomorrow and take care of yourself. Always love yourself and love more the people that loves you.
That's brilliantly put. Let's see what the day brings. Thank you for hanging with us. Let's see if we're gonna have any action before the earnings, or whether it's gonna be a bit of a nothing day. In the meantime, this was the Euro Trade Neuro Wednesdays. Take care.